Hi, my name is Randy Rolfe, and I'm president of the Institute for Creative Solutions, sharing foundational concepts about vibrant health through natural living. I studied nutrition on my own through the 70s and became certified as a nutritionist in the early 80s, and have been practicing and teaching natural health and natural nutrition ever since. And I wanted to share today about some of the mythology around cholesterol. There have been some very good books recently that have kind of covered the history of dissing cholesterol. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about that because it's very, very misleading. And the paleo diet has been popular the last couple of years, and it's about getting back to quality meat. The problem with cholesterol from meat sources, mainly our steer that we slaughter for food, our hamburgers and all, is that these animals are unhealthy. They're not grazed like they're supposed to. They often have antibiotics because they're kept in too close quarters and pass disease around. They're given hormones so that they mature more quickly, and so their fat is not healthy. And back in the 70s, there were books about that their fat is really, instead of being soft and yellow, it's hard and white, and it just doesn't support health the way a healthy animal would. And so the best thing if you want to eat meat is to buy organically raised, grass-fed, sustainably raised meat from animals that have been treated that way. And the interesting thing about cholesterol, that people who've been on dairy farms, grown up on dairy farms before the Second World War, none of these chemicals were added. The steer weren't forced to grow too fast or forced to live too close together or to eat genetically modified foods and grains and soy and even body parts from other meat processing. Really, you don't even want to know about this stuff. But back then, the animals were healthier, and certainly people that lived on dairy farms were often quite healthy, and they ate more cholesterol than anybody's even thought of in the last couple of decades. So it's not about how much cholesterol you eat, it's about the quality of it. And Dr. Oster back in the 70s did a whole lot of study to show that it's when cholesterol oxidizes that it tends to get stuck in the arteries. And it's actually the body's attempt to shore up the artery walls when they get weak because of too much sugar. So finally, we're starting to admit that the high sugar content and all the toxic chemicals in our foods is what injures the artery walls. And then calcium and cholesterol kind of stick, and sometimes it's almost like a Band-Aid to try to keep the artery walls from becoming too porous. And we get plaques in the artery walls, which become, the cure is worse than the disease, where we get clogged or arteries. But if you're eating fresh eggs, fresh meat, properly prepared from healthy animals, it's never been a problem. And saturated fat in coconut is fine. There's other vegetarian sources of saturated fat that have never hurt us. But if you want to avoid cholesterol, those vegetarian sources of saturated fat don't have the cholesterol in them. But it's about freshness and healthy animals in the first place. And so it may cost a little more, but the more of us that buy the healthy sourced foods, the easier it is for farmers to get the prices they need to change to organic farming and sustainable growth of animals. So spend that extra $1 or $2 to get real good quality meat if you're a meat eater, or eggs or milk. You want organic sources. of all these foods. And the cholesterol in butter has never been a problem. We managed to switch people to margarine for a while there because it was cheaper. And they scared everybody that the saturated fat and cholesterol were a problem, but they aren't. It's the sugar and the refined flours, refined sugars that mess up our arteries. And again, there were studies back in the 70s demonstrating this, but the food processors didn't agree because they made a whole lot more profit using the chemicals and the refined foods because they stay on the shelf longer without deterioration, and they are cheaper to put into fancy prepared foods. So avoid them, go back to a paleo diet, source from healthy animals that are allowed to eat and live much closer to their natural way of doing that so that they stay healthy without antibiotics, without hormones, and without other chemicals and nasty foods that don't make for healthy fat in their bodies. So sick animals don't support health in humans. It's a basic concept. So that's enough for today. I'll talk to you later. Thank you for listening and have a great day.